This is the garden vlog, so we're gonna talk flowers. I've got a little bit of footage here and there of some of the other flowers that are going on in my yard. My wildflower hill, so we have this gigantic septic field. It's new as of 2 years ago, and it's kind of an eyesore. It's like in our view of the main farm, and trying to find a way to make it look a little bit more pretty. Last year, scattered poppy seeds all over it. So this year, I did the same thing, and it is hopping with poppies right now. I have some footage here. There are a lot of wildflowers. There's these yellow ones called tidy tips. There are ones called blue eyes, and I think the main one is like chickweed, which is not great, but it just adds a level of green lushness, and I don't mind weeds on it because it gives that lovely green view to it. But then we have all these pops of color from the poppies, and we have these gorgeous like red ones with black centers, and red ones with white centers, and white ones with red tips, and pink ones, and then we have the native ones, the California poppies. So it's just been lovely to watch everything blossom on this gigantic hill. If I can kind of show you it. So this, starting over here, all the way along here, is the septic field. And it is covered now with this green lushness. This month was mainly just getting things in the ground, prepping beds, getting things in the ground. So all of the peppers got in, all the cukes got in, and I've just been planting seeds like crazy. We are now in the greenhouse with the pepper plants. We think this, the black, is due to touching the plastic that covered them. And then we have the cucumbers, and we have a few more casualties because these, I am learning, don't water as evenly as you would want them to. So even if it's off by just a teeny little bit, like if it's not level, each of them is not getting the same amount of water. So I'm finding like these ones might be extra watered, and then 2 of these won't be watered at all. And then these will be super soaked, and then 2 of these won't be watered. And that's just, it's kind of frustrating. Got to keep an eye on it. Cucumbers are looking super duper happy. Last year, the people who were growing in this greenhouse grew amaranth. Now it is growing everywhere. It is basically like taken over. It's this sort of greeny red thing. It's sort of a greeny red plant anyway to begin with. There's another rogue one. And it's just everywhere. And they grew it last year. I don't know what they used it for, but we've got some beautiful buds, beautiful flowers. I think I might pick some and take them home with me tonight because I think that would be so lovely. And now it's just the waiting game of waiting for those seedlings to pop up. Last night was touring it with my parents, and the first zinnias are coming up, so I'm so happy. And baby's breath came up. Okay, still waiting on the bee balm, waiting on the more poppies, waiting on straw flowers, but the nigella is doing really well. The sweet peas are just like going crazy. We're just playing that waiting game of waiting for the flowers to all come up. This made me think for next year, I can totally see now why people do seedlings, because you can start earlier and then when you put them in the ground, they're ready to go. It just feels more satisfying when the weather turns warmer. I'll give you a boring tour of the kitchen garden at some point. Everything is planted now. No, I've got one patch that still needs to be planted. Welcome to the kitchen garden where weeds are thriving, but not much else. All right, we have my favorite flower called 4 O'Clocks is coming up. That was one that I planted with my daughter. As you can see already over here, the radishes are doing okay. I think the slugs are eating the leaves. I mean, they're still doing fine. Like, they hasn't totally decimated the crop. I just thinned them the other day, so they're doing well. And I have one sunflower coming up. Look at this. So we've had really cold weather. And because we've had really cold weather, the seeds come up and they're absolutely lovely, but they just sort of don't do much. So, like, this is where my squash is at. Normally, with warmer weather, the squash would just be going crazy. And most of my squash hasn't come up yet. So this is a type of acorn squash, I think. And now here's the thing. Peas love cold weather. So I've got a sugar pea and a snap pea. I'm pretty sure those are kind of the same. They're the fat ones that you can eat the shell of. So you don't have to shell them. They're very edible. I've got one squash that's come up. Oh, wait a minute. I got a second one that came up. Two. Okay, two since yesterday that have come up. But, like, look at the weeds. The weeds are just so happy. Okay. This right there is one of the floret zinnias. They are coming up so nicely. So I have planted zinnias, cosmos, zinnias. And then I sprinkled a ton of nicotiana here. Now I think the nicotiana is coming up. The problem is the weeds are bigger. We have some volunteer potato plants that decided to come up and I decided to keep them, so why not? And then I did some more cosmos here because cosmos just makes me happy. And then some random places of sunflowers on the edge there. My parsley and sage, and then I've planted basil, but again, the weeds are taking over. And okay, just like don't mind the mess. Like, this is what a normal person's garden looks like. Okay, not aesthetically pleasing. This is dill. My dill is happy. And then I've planted borage in here. Now the borage has come up. These ones here, borage. And then I planted some, oh, I think this might be it. They're called Lilliput zinnias. Now Lilliput is the land of the little people in Gulliver's Travels, so I'm thinking that they're the miniature ones. Oh, nothing yet. This is going to be a pumpkin, a gigantic pumpkin. And this is going to be a really cool squash called the Kokuzo. It's absolutely gigantic, and it's a summer squash. It's kind of like a zucchini. And then I've got beets and another squash, beets, and some radishes, and then carrots. And I think the carrots are coming up, but carrots, you know, take forever to germinate. So, like, we just chill right now. Let's just be excited about the radishes and the peas. Yeah. Oh, oh, Marshall. LB, our older Great Pyrenees, she was not fixed, and neither is Marshall. We just had some puppies. So LB disappeared for a couple of days, found a secret little spot, had her puppies, found her, brought her back. Now she's safe and sound. We have 3 gorgeous little puppies that are just growing, growing, growing. Hopefully today we're going to get the cucumbers in. So We have one called homemade cucumbers, and these are my seedlings, and then the rest I'll just plant regular seeds. I have Wisconsin cucumber. This is another pickling one. So I've got my seedlings that survived, and then I'm going to line marigolds all along here. And then this last one, the Olympian, these are the big ones, and I'm going to start with a marigold, and then 5, 5, 5, 5 interspersed with more marigolds. Shiny star. Every time I do some planting, I've got this laminated piece of graph paper that I've sort of mapped out what the beds are going to be, and I basically just write in what I've planted. So I've got 11 pepper plants planted, and I put in 11 dots, and I put they're the Beaver Dam variety, and I put the date, May 8th. These ones are all going to be peppers, and then you can see here I planted the green beans on May 5th, and I planted 21 of those. And this is basically the way that I'm keeping track of things. However, I have noticed with the whiteboard, it could possibly wipe off. So what I've done is I'll take a picture every day after I do it, just to see the changes, just in case something gets erased. I know exactly what's been erased. So this has been working so far. It was a brilliant stroke of genius on my part, so woohoo, yay. One of the things that I had a question about was trying to figure out what to do in between all of the pepper plants, because honestly, like, that is so much space to just have nothing. And if I'm just gonna be weeding all the time, that's so much space for weeds to grow. So I was chatting with my friend Megan, and she was recommending some kind of a cover crop. And so what I'm going to be doing today is this. Changing, believing, only then we could start. Feel like that. Feel like that. What a day. I was able to get so much done. Planted all of the peppers. We have 38 of the Beaver Dam peppers, and we have 26 of the jalapenos. Now, we have all the jalapenos we have a buyer for, so cross my fingers that they do well. I've probably lost about 3. I might lose a couple more in the transition, but like way more than I thought I was gonna get. And then this evening was super duper productive. Planted 25 more bean plants. We'll see if they pop up. I'm succession planting nigella and the straw flowers, so I planted those 3 again. I actually ran out of the Persian Jewels purple ones, so thankfully I had some of the white ones left, so we've just got a cute little mix of purple and white. And then these straw flowers, I'm not sure, I ran out halfway. So there's some sneaky nigella that are kind of like interspersed in the area that I ran out of space with, whatever. And I noticed that a lot of the sweet peas that I planted direct sow haven't come up. So I just, on a whim, did really old packet of the Royal Family blend, which is like the deep pinks, purples. And I just put like 3 in each hole, and we're just gonna see what happens. It's a little chaotic, it's a little unplanned, but like whatever. I mean, that area was planned for sweet peas, so it's not that chaotic, but just having fun there. And then really figuring out the watering thing. Right now I'm just using sprinklers. The hope was that we were gonna do drip irrigation, but that's gonna, like, we need to just sit down, make a plan, set it all up, and do that. Very productive. Did I talk with this thing in my face the whole time? I bet I did. Ugh. For the most part, some of them have done well. This one's doing okay. This marigold, it's a little sad. This guy's given up on life. But for the most part, they're doing okay. Of my jalapenos, this one decided he's done, but the rest of them are doing well. So like one loss out of a many, not too bad. Here we've got jalapenos, we've got the beaver dam, and exciting, the Nigellas are coming up. You can always tell what the seedlings are because they come up in a nice straight line. So I'm excited. And these ones are a little bit, no, actually, you know what? They're taking off. This is good. This is good. It's these ones. I think something is munching them. So I need to figure that out. Next project, I need to weed and weed and weed and weed and weed and set up all the rest of the beds because I haven't done that. Start planting all those other ones before May long weekend. But here's the tough one, and these beds are the hardest because we have very clay soil, and it's so dry and it's all clay, and this is like rock solid. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to fluff this up and make it plantable. So what I've done is I've taken a wheelbarrow load full of finer dirt that hasn't clumped up, and I'm just gonna dump it on this bed, and we're just gonna see how we go from there. So tonight's task is doing some cosmos, and I've already dug the holes. This one I am so excited about. I've literally had dreams about this one. This one keeps me up at night. Look at that. The little punch of pink in the middle. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And then the other one, going in that same kind of color scheme, we have one of the florets. I have the golden hour one. This one is sort of meaningful to me because there's a song called Golden Hour. And after I gave birth to my son, it kind of became my anthem of just feeling so strong and capable. And so this one means a lot to me. And so, of course, I need to be planting this one first. Of all of the floret originals that I got, this one I'm most excited for. Last update for May. Let's start at the most visually appealing place. The sweet peas. Remember, these are the ones that volunteered themselves. They're absolutely stunning. Every morning when I open the greenhouse, the smell, it is like the sweetest iced tea on a hot summer's day. It is incredible, and I'm not sure I don't know if you can see these, but there's bees all over this plant. It is bringing in the bees. This is good. We're training them. Oh, we've already got a seed pod. That's great. I would love to save some of these for next year. They are lovely. They are all same. These are the ones that I planted as seedlings, and they are just a little bit more behind, but these ones are a bit more varied. So you've got these lovely little pink ones, bright pink ones, dark burgundy, whereas the other ones are like a burgundy and fuchsia blend. And then these are the ones that I direct sowed. You can't even see them. They are so super duper teeny. So note to self, going to plant way more in January next year. So I've already purchased them, of course. Now, this is a lesson in why you should never take off the weeds bordering your garden, because this beautiful, gorgeous flower came up. I think it's called Phacelia, and it is the funkiest, coolest. Like the flowers are curly, they are lovely, and they bring in the bees. So these bees are just happy as can be. Now these aren't really cut flowers, but they are lovely. And they smell too. They smell more a little bit like it's just sweetness, like a honey. On the less exciting side, I don't know if you can see the lack of green, or rather the green that you see is mostly weeds. So let's start with the seedlings that I direct sowed that are actually kind of happy. These are Nigella, and the second batch of Nigella are coming up. Bee Balm hasn't come up yet. Straw flowers, I mean, kind of. Like, we've got little hints of things here and there. Oh, wait, there's one over here. But it has been so cold and rainy that it is absolutely difficult for some of these things to grow. Now, this is baby's breath. I did not expect this one to come up, and I'm so super duper happy that it did. See, these are poppies. I think some of them are coming up. You can't tell. And the amaranth is just a weed in and of itself. And then we have lovely little things like volunteer marigolds. I have planted, oh yeah, see, this is the problem of June. This is what I'm going to need to solve soonish. Oh, look, in the door. So we are very windy here, and I think the doors just don't stand up to it. But like, this has become so dry, it's almost cartoonish. I have to show you this, like the cracking. It is so dry. And I'm considering just watering this place and just getting moisture back in the soil, but that's not going to do anything. Let's go back to the interesting stuff. So I have planted under the sea zinnias. I have planted my unicorn florets. These ones haven't come up yet because I only just planted them on Sunday. However, the golden hours are starting to come up there. A couple of them have appeared. Also, another volunteer marigold. I'm keeping the volunteer marigolds. I want those, but all of the other weeds we're like just getting rid of. I have cosmos. I think the slugs are starting to get to them, and I'm really upset about this, but hopefully have a whole thing of cosmos. The dill has started to come up. Where did I see it? There we go. And basil has started to come up. Yeehaw. Now, the dill and the basil were meant to be like fillers. However, dill also pairs really well with cucumbers, and basil pairs really well with anything tomato. So, like, they're great as fillers, but they're also great as herbs. We have beans. Beans have been the bane of my May. So they are kind of doing well. Like, let's see here. I planted 25 beans in this one plot, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 came out. So I planted more in between these ones because that's just not acceptable. And then over there where I planted a ton, 2 came out. So again, replanted those ones. I also have a section of parsley. You can see they are coming up. The thing is, so about this soil, one of the things that's going to help this soil is growing things in it. So having things plant their roots and break up the soil is really going to help soften everything. So right now, this year, this is what we're going to be fighting with. So look, there's one, and then there's one like right over there. So I reseeded those, and I planted some more, whatever. The jalapenos are just like, okay. So listening to someone talk about their garden I'll show you the other peppers. They were talking about their garden in a store that I was buying some seeds at, and they were talking about how their plants are just stunted. And that's because it's been so absolutely cold. It has dropped down and it's been rainy. We had that nice hot heat spell at the beginning of May, and then it's just been cold. So everything's stunted, and everybody across the valley is saying that it's been stunted. So I don't feel so bad But you can see here, so these aren't weeds. These here, this is the cover crop. And the pepper plants, like, they're fine. The black is left over from when they were in the domes. But they're doing, like, they're fine. They're just not growing fast. Now the cucumbers, yeah, marigolds are super duper happy. Like, look at these. Look at these. These are super duper happy. I am so pleased with how these turned out. Now these are ones that I planted as seedlings. Today I just replanted a bunch of the cucumbers because a ton didn't come up. Like, let's say I planted 36 here. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 came up. So trying to find the exact same seeds is pretty difficult, so I planted a couple extra ones. These are supposed to be the big cucumbers, and these are going to be more pickling ones, and I replanted all of these. See, I don't know how interesting this is to you, because this is mostly just like dirt that I'm showing you. However, let's have some success stories. Success stories here. Look at this cucumber. He's happy as a clam. These marigolds, happy as a clam. These cucumbers, happy as a clam. Just ignore those marigolds. You know, those ones are happy. And then we've got a little tomato patch that we decided to plant randomly, and we've got a good amount of tomatoes. There's some that I picked up on the side of the road, bought from another person who is selling their cool seedlings. So we've got some things happening. But because it's been so cold everywhere in the valley, everything is just stunted. So, crossing my fingers, here's my prediction of weather. It is going to be cold at the beginning of January. And then randomly in the middle of it, we're going to have a massive heat wave. And that is when everything is just going to go bananas. So that is the May update. Showing you where things can be on your first year. There are some feelings. Have I had some meltdowns? Absolutely. Am I going to put those on camera? Absolutely not. we have enough crying on camera. Like, we're good. So I want to share with you my successes and some of my, like, womps. Yeah, that's our end of May. And we'll see you again in June.